It was a big day for Melania Trump. She unveiled her new First Lady platform. We all remember Michelle Obama's was children's fitness. Laura Bush's was child literacy. And Melania's is the overall well-being of children. just overall.
Wow.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Folks, as I've mentioned before, tomorrow night we will be live after we hear Trump's State of the Union. But one person we have not heard from much is First Lady Melania Trump. Melania did not appear with her husband at either the Super Bowl or the Daytona 500, and her appearance at the inauguration seems to have been squeezed in between regional theater productions of Guys and Dolls.
Trump having a complete and utter meltdown on New Year's. This guy is unwell. He's posting about George Clooney and Clooney's wife, Amal. Donald Trump saying, "I hope my enemies rot in hell." He's saying, "Rot in hell to the governor of Colorado and to a rhino. I want to see you all rot in hell." Donald Trump is posting photos of windmills and saying that they're actually killing these bald eagles, but it's a photo of 2017 Israel windmills and their falcons and not bald eagle. He keeps on reposting these things.
Stephen Colbert just exposed Melania Trump on live television in the most devastating way possible, and it reveals everything you need to know about her complicity in Donald Trump's corruption. On October 21st, 2025, Colbert interviewed actress Laura Benanti playing Melania Trump, and when he brought up Jeffrey Epstein, fake Melania suddenly claimed to experience technical difficulties and literally disappeared from the screen. The bit was hilarious, but the truth behind it is absolutely damning, because Melania's entire strategy is to disappear whenever uncomfortable truths emerge.
That's kind of vague. You had a year and a half. It's like spending all year planning your Halloween party, and you decide the theme is candy. The slogan for the campaign is, and I'm not making this up, be best. Just to be clear, we aren't making fun of Melania's accent or the way she talks. She's a very intelligent woman who speaks multiple languages fluently. But for everyone on her team who signed off on be best, be better. Of course.
And then he let me just go through them with you. It's utterly absurd. Oh, by the way, he admits defeat. He admits that he's surrendering as well and removing the National Guard from California and from Illinois and from Oregon as well. And he's like, but the Democrats are a bunch of cheaters. The guy's ranting and raving like a lunatic. How about you just say Happy New Year's? All right. How about you post a photo of your family, or maybe you just don't post anything at all. And Dozy Don, why don't you doze back off? But here's what he's posted. Let me read it for you. Donald Trump says that we're removing the National Guard from Chicago, Los Angeles, and Portland, despite the fact that crime has been greatly reduced by having these great patriots in those cities.
About her husband's connections to a convicted sex trafficker. This isn't just comedy. This is Colbert using satire to expose a pattern that mainstream media refuses to acknowledge. Melania Trump knows exactly who her husband is. She's been photographed with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and her only response is to vanish from public view whenever anyone asks questions. Subscribe to USA Press and turn on notifications, because we're documenting every moment of Colbert's final season, exposing the Trump family's darkest secrets before CBS silences him in May 2026. The October 21st, 2025...
coming out about the Trump administration, that it can seem unbelievable, which is why I was really surprised to hear one that I literally do not believe. I'm talking about the rumor out there that at some of Trump's public appearances with his wife Melania, the First Lady deploys a body double, which I find to be completely ridiculous. Just imagine the idea of Donald Trump replacing his wife. Come on. But even though it's completely unbelievable, this rumor has persisted since 2017, when people first saw this picture and thought it didn't look like Melania. I don't know. In my opinion, that is either Melania or Rami Malek is about to win another Oscar.
And only by that fact, just making that up, Portland, Los Angeles, and Chicago We're gone if it weren't for the federal government stepping in. We will come back perhaps in a much different and stronger form when crime begins to soar again, only a question of time. It is hard to believe that these Democrat mayors and governors, all of whom are greatly incompetent, would want us to leave, especially considering the great progress that has been made.
Episode of The Late Show was already making headlines because it was one of Colbert's first shows after CBS announced his cancellation. Colbert had called Paramount's $16 million Trump settlement a big fat bribe, and 3 days later, CBS canceled him. Now he was using his final months on air to go harder than ever before. Laura Benanti appeared as Melania Trump, a role she's been playing since 2016 that's become legendary for its brutal honesty wrapped in comedy. The segment started with fake Melania discussing various Trump administration controversies, the proposal to rename the Kennedy Center's Opera House in her honor.
There is intrigue in this nation about how Melania Trump got her green card. Apparently, we just learned this, apparently, instead of waiting in line like everybody else in 2001, while she was dating Donald Trump, she received a so-called Einstein visa. Possibly. Because when she told her friends she was dating Donald Trump, they said, "Way to go, Einstein."
Question mark, question mark, question mark. President DJT. This guy is deeply unwell in the head, in his body. Just some psychotic meltdown. I don't know. You give me other words to describe what we're watching right now. By the way, hit subscribe. Help the Midas Touch Network get to 6 million subscribers in 2026. You may think you're subscribed to this YouTube channel because you get our videos and you search for it in the morning and in the afternoon and at night. Just double check that you're actually subscribed and turn your notifications on. Donald Trump goes, the Democrats are a bunch of cheaters and thieves, and they never want to do what's good for America.
Her infamous hat at King Charles III's meeting, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's scandals. "Oh, it is such an honor," Benanti's Melania said about the Kennedy Center proposal. "I cannot wait to change my name to Melania Kennedy." The audience laughed at the absurdity of Melania caring more about the Kennedy name than the actual honor. Colbert was clearly building to something. He asked about Trump's health issues, specifically chronic venous insufficiency. Benanti's Melania replied with a fake accent. "Sadly, it's true. He has very small venus. It is so insufficient."
I smell Oscar buzz. But this crazy body double theory took off on Twitter again this weekend when hashtag fake Melania started trending. Fun fact, these days, most of Twitter is Eastern Europeans faking affection for Donald Trump. Now, obviously, this is a completely unsubstantiated rumor, but it has become so widespread that President Trump even weighed in on Twitter. The fake news Photoshop pictures of Melania, then propelled conspiracy theories that it's actually not her by my side in Alabama and other places. They're only getting more deranged with time. Deranged people spreading fake conspiracies are so bad, even worse than when Ted Cruz's dad killed JFK.
That's what you're posting on frickin' New Year's? Donald Trump goes, good news. George and Amal Clooney, two of the worst political prognosticators of all time, have officially become citizens of France, which is sadly in the midst of a major crime problem because of their horrendous handling of immigration, much like we had under Sleepy Joe Biden. Remember when Clooney, after the now infamous debate, dumped Joe during a fundraiser, only to go on to the side of another stellar candidate, Jamala K, who is now fighting it out with the worst governor in the country, including Tim Walz, Gavin Newsom, for who is going to lead the Democrats for their future of defeat.
The penis joke got huge laughs, but Colbert wasn't done. Then came the moment that made headlines. Colbert said, "Okay, well, I have to ask you about one of the biggest stories that has lingered over your husband's presidency. Jeffrey Epstein has been in the news a lot lately." He paused, then asked directly, "Do you think there's any chance he's on the Epstein list?" Benanti's fake Melania suddenly started acting like the video connection was breaking up. "Oh, I'm so sorry, Stephen, I cannot hear you," she said, feigning static.
To try to humanize these child detention centers, the administration sent their most high-profile detainee, Melania Trump. And as soon as she got there, the First Lady cut right to the big question.
How I can help to these children to reunite with their families as quickly as possible.
Ma'am, I know how you can help. Unfortunately, involves speaking to your husband. But desperate times call for desperate measures.
Again, this is what the guy's posting on New Year's. This is why he is a deranged individual. Also yesterday, it was reported, New York Times reported, although the Midas Touch reported it first back on December 23rd, 5 million additional Epstein files are missing that the DOJ says it's now found, not the 1.2 million. Remember when I told you there was 1.2 million, but I said there were likely 5 million to 10 million more? Spot on with the numbers. And the way I knew that is because I've dealt with document productions like this before. The bank records alone could be 1 million records.
Colbert immediately called her out. Madam First Lady, you can't just suddenly disappear when things get uncomfortable. Benante's Melania shot back, "Oh yes, I can, Stephen." And she literally beamed off the screen, disappearing entirely. Colbert sat there stunned. Oh my God, she actually did it. I don't know what just happened over there. But then, Benante's character suddenly reappeared, stating, "Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot my hat." She picked up a hat, similar to the one real Melania wore at Trump's January 2025 inauguration.
Trump has been very tough on immigrants, but it hasn't all been deportations. He's also detaining some foreigners against their will. For instance, Melania. Now, I'm not sure that the First Lady is happy in Washington, D.C. Just look at this recent tweet from her communications director. "The holidays are upon us. Right now, FLOTUS is seeing to every last detail here at the White House." That's great. Let's take a look at the photo of the festive holiday decorations she tweeted along with it. Gah! Which holiday is that for? St. Gorlan's Feast of Human Bones?
You have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb because there are, millions of transactions. I mean, Epstein was engaged in potentially a $1.2 billion money laundering scheme running adjacent or parallel or inextricably intertwined with the child sex trafficking ring that Trump and his regime and the MAGAs are now covering up. Democrats in the House Oversight Committee posted, the Department of Justice has produced less than 5% of Epstein documents. What is the president hiding? And why was Mar-a-Lago used to send spa employees to Epstein's personal home? This is Ranking Member Garcia's full statement. It's now clear the Department of Justice has produced less than 5% of the 5 million Epstein documents it has in its possession. This is a blatant violation of federal law and part of a criminal White House cover-up.
The infamous wide-brimmed hat that obscured her face and became a symbol of her hiding from the public. Then she disappeared again. The bit was genius because it exposed Melania's entire playbook. When uncomfortable questions arise about Trump and Epstein, Melania simply disappears. She doesn't answer questions. She doesn't issue statements. She just vanishes from public view until the news cycle moves on. And when she does appear, it's with accessories, like that inauguration hat, specifically designed to hide her face. This is the same pattern Melania has followed throughout Trump's presidency. When the Stormy Daniels scandal broke,
It is worth, in my opinion, it's worth pointing out the images that started this rumor are not photoshopped. But the president is half right because this is nothing more than a wild conspiracy theory. Fortunately, The Late Show has a source that could put an end to it once and for all. Please welcome live from the White House, the actual First Lady, Melania Trump.
Hello, Stephen.
Madam First Lady, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Stephen. Or am I?
Okay, so I take it you've heard this rumor about you employing a body double.
Yes, it makes no sense. How could there be two Melania Trumps? Think about it. Doesn't it seem crazy there is even one?
I guess so. So you're saying that those pictures are you and not an impersonator?
Of course it is me, Stephen. Why would anyone impersonate Melania Trump for what? Attention? Applause?
The American people now understand Trump and Attorney General Bondi never intended to release these files until Congress forced them to act. At the same time, new reporting raises serious questions about Trump's relationship with Epstein and what Trump knew about Mar-a-Lago's role in directing its employees to Epstein's home for so-called house calls. Oversight Democrats have already begun to investigate these disturbing revelations.
Referencing Melania's leaked 2018 recording, who gives a fuck about the Christmas stuff and decorations? This is why the October 2025 Epstein segment was so powerful. It wasn't just comedy, it was Colbert using his final months on CBS to expose what Melania really is. A woman who knows exactly who she married, who has her own documented connections to Epstein's circle, and whose only strategy when questioned is to disappear and threaten lawsuits. Real Melania has been largely absent during Trump's second presidency. She attended but didn't speak at the 2024 Republican National Convention, breaking decades of tradition.
Invisibility hasn't stopped her from capitalizing on her position. Since her husband's re-election, she has launched a multi-billion-dollar cryptocurrency meme coin and sold a documentary about herself to Amazon for $40 million. It's all part of a personal rebrand that is being dubbed Melania Trump 2.0 and includes this official White House portrait that was apparently taken at the exact moment before her soul was sucked into the Phantom Zone.
The Wall Street Journal reported was that in 2003, Epstein was banned, allegedly from the Mar-a-Lago spa. Not from Mar-a-Lago, from the spa, because the father of a purported 18-year-old girl was threatening Donald Trump and Mar-a-Lago with potentially legal action and to go public. So Epstein was just banned from the spa, but that was irrelevant because Epstein wasn't going to the spa. The girls were going to Epstein's home throughout the 1990s and into the 2000s until about 2007, it seems, when Epstein was last seen on the Mar-a-Lago house logs.
She was there, she's in the photos, and her only response is to hide. When fake Melania told Colbert, "Oh yes I can, Stephen," and beamed off the screen at the mention of Epstein, she was showing us what real Melania does every single day. She disappears, she hides, she sends lawyers, she threatens people into silence. But Colbert isn't staying silent. And as long as he's on the air, he'll keep exposing Melania Trump's complicity in her husband's corruption, her connections to Epstein's circle, and her cowardly strategy of disappearing whenever the truth gets too uncomfortable.
These visas are reserved for a small percentage of individuals that have risen to the very top of their field. And in Melania's case, her biggest job at the time was a spot in the swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated. Jimmy, let's take a look at that. Well, there she is, Melania Trump. Well, obviously, she was ahead of her time. She beat Shape of Water by a decade. Fun fact, Albert Einstein got his green card with a very similar photo shoot. And this week, it got even worse when Melania liked a tweet calling Trump a hypocrite on his immigration policies titled, "How exactly did Melania Trump get an Einstein visa?" Yes, Melania may be questioning her own citizenship. Relations between her and Donald have gotten so bad, she's hoping ICE will intervene.
Trump or at least the Mar-a-Lago spa, at least in the 90s, they were sending girls to Epstein. Epstein wasn't even a member, but Trump directed people treat him as though he's a member, and they would send the girls and spa workers and masseuses to Epstein's. And there was a reputation that Epstein would sexually harass and sexually assault them. It was described in the Wall Street Journal as engaging in sexually suggestive conduct. What do you mean? He was sexually assaulting them, and he was exposing himself and harassing them. That was the reputation of what was taking place, and they were sending the girls from Mar-a-Lago there. That's what was going down.
That's why Trump celebrated Colbert's cancellation. That's why CBS pulled the plug 3 days after Colbert called the Trump settlement a bribe, because Colbert was getting too close to truths that powerful people want buried. And Melania Trump's connection to Jeffrey Epstein is one of those truths. Share this video, subscribe to USA Press. Stephen Colbert exposed Melania Trump on live television, and the truth is she's been hiding from these questions her entire time in the public eye. The October 2025 Epstein segment showed us exactly why.